Good morning, everybody. We are learning the laws of Hilchot Seudah, which I called in the English translation table manners, because I thought that was catchier than laws of proper conduct during a meal. And there are the halachas, and then a lot which comes out just seems like manners, just basic manners, how we comport ourselves, how do we behave at a meal. So these are the laws of table manners. So we are on chapter 42, number 10, in our continued learning. Now, this doesn't come up very often today, but if you need to use bread for a medicinal purpose, remember in our last class, we had learned that you can't use any food, but specifically it talked about bread. You can't make it become disgusting that somebody would eat on purpose. If it happens, it happens, but you can't do something like spray paint bread, as a gimmick, because that would make the bread inedible, and that would be baltashlis, and that would be not good. But what if you needed to use bread for some medicinal purpose? Or bishar davar machol, any other food, even though it might become inedible from this use, mutter, it's permitted, right? Because anything for a refu, anything for a health benefit to heal somebody is going to be permitted. The Mishnah Berurah adds that it's permitted to use food for any human need as long as it's common to use the food for that way. So a classic example might be using like almond or olive oil on your skin, right? Or coconut oil. But this is food, right? Can't we use it to cook? Well, if it benefits the body to apply it on the outside, that's great, no problem. Yud Aleph, Yizaher Me'od, should take great care with breadcrumbs. Purim Shul Yirzrokum, shouldn't place them where they're going to be trampled. The Kasha Lenius will explain. This you see this a lot of times in comes up a lot, that it's something that has a negative effect of causing poverty. Ela Yaksenav Yinena Lafois, you should gather and give them to birds. Now, the Mishnah Berurah discusses this. So, in other words, you've got breadcrumbs on your cutting board or on the table after a meal. Happens every Shabbos. On the floor too, but those you vacuum up. What about the ones on the table? How do you get rid of them? So Mishnah Berurah says you discard such crumbs into water, which is fine, since they would not be put in a position of being trampled and denigrated. Some authorities forbid discarding of an amount of crumbs equal to kazayas, even if they won't be trampled. Today, leftover from meal, we have a lot of crumbs. It is permitted to put them straight into the garbage, right? Because they're not going to be trampled, right? It's not going to be, right? That's what we do with the leftovers. If you have the ability to collect them and you want to give them to the birds, I think that's awesome. And what I usually do is, if you want to know how we do it, is I take the tablecloth with all the crumbs and I go shake it outside after Shabbos. That the question is, though, you have to do it in a place you're not putting it on the walkway, so onto the grass. So the apartment building next to me has grass. Can shake it out there. But yeah, if you can collect this mostly comes up on Shabbos, right? Because you're cutting bread and it makes lots of breadcrumbs. So yeah, collect the crumbs, put them out for the birds. Oh, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful minhag. Hashotem mayim, you're drinking water. Lo yishte bifnei rabim, shouldn't drink facing the public. We'll explain this. Afilu yafok, put your hand to the face to the side of bishar mashkin with your other beverages. And tzarich lefach b'panav. You have to turn it. What's going on here? Why would you turn your face? So let's go into this. Oh, I see a question. Oh, love questions. What about putting them in the bag and then trash? That's fine too. That's fine too. I think that's fine. The Mishnah Berurah would say you could just put it right into the sink and wash it down the sink. That'd be fine. I think, if I were to go in order of preference, first would be the birds, then would be the sink, and then finally would be straight into the garbage. Just don't want to I think that'd be okay. What about this thing about drinking the water in front of people? So this idea had to do with being modest, and it's based, if you look at Rashi in the Gemara in Bechoros, Ve'ein sheisim mayim, there. The Mishnah Berurah says this is only a practice of Torah scholars, that if you were a regular person, should not be concerned about this halacha, and it has to do with modesty. And the Mishnah Berurah also cites an opinion that this does not apply during a meal. This is, at a meal, but this is, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of a case out in public, chugging back a 40 of water, of course. Maybe that's considered immodest. So the whole idea here is modesty in even in drinking water, we should be concerned. Okay. But again, the Mishnah Berurah says only Torah scholars, and it doesn't have to do with if you had a meal. Number 13. You shouldn't stare into the face of somebody who's eating or drinking, right? That seems politeness, right? And you shouldn't stare at what's in front of you, in front of him, excuse me. Not to make them embarrassed, right? Table manners. 14. Any food or drink which a person has brought, which has a kind of a, we're going to call it an aroma, but it's not just an aroma, it's like a good aroma, or a very strong aroma, could either. And the person craves it, he must immediately give a piece of that food to the server. Lefisha mazik Adam sheroel lefanav Michael Shu. Oh, hold on. I'm so sorry. We have a call over here. One moment, please. Sorry for this, everybody. This is an important call. It's for Mom. Thanks. So this, okay, so the person, let's start again. Okay, number 14. So you're putting out some food that has a real strong aroma, and a person craves it. Come up with whatever you think, a Jeff's sausage, right? We're always giving kudos to Jeff, or a Bibi's challah. Oh, there we go. Okay. What do you do? So you're supposed to immediately give a piece of that food to the server. Lefisha mazik adam, for it's harmful for a person. We'll explain all these details. A harmful person should have ma'achal shu misabe, sees in front of them something that they crave, ve'eino oichel minu, they don't eat from this. Okay, so this fascinating halacha, and we're gonna focus on this for a minute. Now, you see this halacha, especially for me, that it comes up when you have a woman who's pregnant. So we learn that a woman who's pregnant if she has a desire for a certain food on Yom Kippur, right? It's a very dangerous. We don't want to. It feels you could put her in a position of sakana, of danger, potentially, if she desires something really strongly and you don't give it to her, and it could also damage her fetus. So that's where this issue, where I first encountered it. But now let's look at it here in the laws of a meal. So you've got something you really, really want to eat. So the idea is that we're supposed to give to whoever's bringing the food to the table. Anybody, the Ber Halacha says, anybody who's at the table who smells it, right? Anybody, like you bring something to the table that has a great aroma that everybody wants to eat, you can't withhold it from people. Okay? And the Ber Halacha says also that the custom, like if somebody walks into your house while you're having a meal, it's almost universal to invite the person to join. And the Ber Halacha says that comes from this halacha, right? The person walked into your house, oh, smell this food. And you say, oh, thanks, nice to see you later. Right? Can't do that, because not just it's bad manners, but it might be dangerous to the person to have that smell of the food and not give it to them. Now, this halacha was discussing a server, somebody who's serving you the food, i.e., if you have people who work for you, who are bringing food to the table, you can't have them prepare and bring food to the table that you're not also going to give them, which is also beautiful. Now, the Mishnah Berurah discusses, but let's say the person bringing the food to the table, i.e., somebody who's part of the meal, a family member bringing the food, okay, then you don't. This halacha is just, it's covering. They're going to sit down in a few minutes. That's fine. It's not like you're withholding food from them. You don't have to give them the food first. Now, practically, I'm not sure how this works, but let's go into a little more. So he says, even when the food doesn't have an aroma, it's a manner of the pious to give some of each type of food to the server right away, because it's painful to see others eating without being able to eat. The Mishnah Berurah writes also, if you look in there, this is in Shulchan Aruch, chapter 169, the Mishnah Berurah number 4. It seems that this too applies only in cases where the server will not later be given the same foods he is serving, since it can cause intense craving of those foods. However, if he's going to be given afterwards, he doesn't need to give it first. Okay, so now we've drilled down a little bit more. We're concerned that a person's going to be having all this food made for them, having it served for them, and is going to leave out the people who helped to serve the food. That would be considered not just bad manners, but it would be dangerous. But if the servers are going to sit down and eat, right, or if your help, whoever's helping you, is going to sit down and eat from the same food, they don't have to be given first. That is okay. The Mishnah Berurah says it's okay. The goal of the halacha is that nobody should smell delicious food and not be given a chance to eat it. If we're going to boil this down, pardon the pun, right? And if you look, by the way, back in chapter 33, which we learned together, he talks about smelling such an aroma can save themselves from danger. We'll have to go back there and remind ourselves what we were talking about. But total aside, by the way, aromatherapy is a big thing, right? That smells, people are very into that by certain aromas can bring certain kinds of properties. And clearly, with the Torah and other things in Judaism, there definitely seems to be a aromatherapy component to some Jewish things. Besamim, right? Every Saturday night we smell besamim as a nachama, as to console our souls that they've lost their neshama yisera, their extra Shabbos soul. So So that reach, smell is a deep thing. It's really connected to some very deep things, and we usually think about it in these kind of therapeutic terms now with aromatherapy. But you should know that even applies to a delicious meal. If there's some food there that's very, very aromatic and everybody wants to try it, it's important that everybody has a chance, and especially he's pointing out, those people who might not be invited to the meal to sit down also should have a chance to taste the food. Number 15, you shouldn't give anyone to eat unless he knows him, that they're going to wash their hands and recite blessings on the food. So let's look at this. In other words, he doesn't want to do a lifnei iver, right? The lifnei iver idea is that you're giving somebody food, but they might not wash their hands. What do we do here? So let's look a little bit into this. Yeah, we have another couple minutes. Okay. So the Bir Halacha says, if somebody might not say a bracha, maybe you shouldn't give them the food. But if you're giving, let's say you're giving the mitzvah of tzedakah, giving food to a poor person, okay? You don't have to have definite knowledge of the level of observance of the person before giving it to them. And if the poor person does not refuse to recite a blessing out of wickedness, but merely cannot recite a blessing, you still have to give them food. And Rav Moshe discusses at length in Iris Moshe, there are a lot of cases where you can give somebody who doesn't know brachas, food. And I think the idea that would be the most halacha l'maisa here today for us would be that when you do offer people bread, you definitely want to always offer people the opportunity to wash their hands and say a bracha. So if they don't, that's fine. But if you always want to make sure and be attentive to that, not keep it a secret, and that would be, I would say, a good way today to mind it, because certainly many of the people that we come in contact with are not Torah observant people. They don't know to go wash their hands and make hamotzi. So we don't want to refuse people food, God forbid. So we always want to make it available for them. And with that, we want to wish everybody an awesome day.